ask you that before you can debug this session, because it's gonna run it almost like you're running with two loads, right? So it's gonna say, do you want to use the existing integration service? Which is fine. We can use an existing integration service, right? Or we can just create a debug session instance, which in that case is almost like it creates one virtually for you. So it's not like we've gone into the admin to create an integration service, but it creates almost like a virtual integration service just so you can run this process to debug your session. So it's not really creating it, but it's a virtual, almost like a virtual session, right? So it's so we can either use this, which is called create a debug session instance, right? Or we can just use an existing session. And since we already created our session, right, and we know that something's broken, we can go ahead and do this. But, yeah, we can use the existing one. But for example, if we had started our mapping, right, and we're like, okay, even before I go create my session, let me check and make sure that everything in this mapping is working correctly. So in that case, we haven't created a session. You can just use this create debug session instance, right? So let's go ahead and use an existing session here, right? And it recognizes the existing session you're talking about, right? Otherwise, it might ask you which one you just select the right one. So we select the SCE customers. So we click next, and then it's going to say, it knows that this is your target table. It says, when I run this session, do you want to run it and then let it insert data into the target table, or is this kind of like a test where you can see what it's going to do, but it's not going to write the data into your target table, right? So in this case, see where it says discard target data, we're going to leave that checked because we want to run it, but we don't want it to write to the target table. So we want it to discard whatever we run here, right? So it doesn't impact the target table, right? Because this is truly a test, okay? Otherwise, it's just going to write to your target table just like normal, right? When we click finish, it takes a little bit to go. Okay. So once it goes, you will see these blocks underneath. Okay. So So here is your target instance, and then here are going to be like all your transformation instances, right? So you can see that it recognizes each and every transformation that's within this mapping, right? And then this is your target instance, which are the two target tables, right? One is an insert, one is an update instance, right? Okay, so this is what we want to do. We want to gradually go through what's going on within our code, right? To try to figure out what might be happening at each point. So let's start from here, right? Which is the starting point, right? We click on the source qualifier, right? And then we go back to mappings, we go to debugger, now we have these options, right? So we say step to instance, right? Since we click that one, step to instance, it's gonna go here. Now if you look at the bottom, right? It starts to pick each record row by row that's in the source table, right? And we know that in the source we have 10 records, right? So the first one is the first row that it picks up, right? So it says, okay, this is the customer ID 651606, right? Company McDonald's, first name Jane, right? And this is that record that we changed, right? So we can automatically say, okay, good. We can kind of figure out why it's always doing an insert instead of doing nothing, right? Okay, so we go to the next instance, which is the lookup, right? Mapping, debugger, step to instance. Okay, now remember what was the lookup condition that we had? We said customer ID equals customer ID, right?
Right.
So it's already inserted this record into our target table, right? So what it's going to do is it's going to say the customer ID in the source, right? Where's that? This is the customer ID coming from the source, right? This is the customer ID in the target, right? So 6516606 equals 6516606, right? So we're good there. So this works, right? And then what are we returning? We're returning customer DIM key, company name, first name, last name, right? You guys remember? If you're confused, let me know. Are we good so far? Yeah? Kiki?
What are you returning? Can you think? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Are you asking what we're returning, right?
No, not just what.
For the,
okay, you understand what this
yes.
entire process is, right? That we're trying to figure out.
Yes.
Okay.
Are we trying to find out why it's duplicating?
Right, exactly. Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
Now, we've looked at the source qualifier, right? The source qualifier just goes into your source table and does a query. It's almost saying select start from customers, right? And then it does it, but it does it row by row, right? So for each row. So we're only looking at the first row that is picked up right now, right?
Do you specify what rows you look up?
You can, but in this case we didn't, right? So if you don't specify anything, it just goes row by row by row by row. But obviously, if you are in a situation where you have millions of data and you want to look at one particular data, there's something called like a breakpoint, or you can put a filter within your source qualifier where it only picks up that one row, right? So in this case, we could have said the source filter, and then we could have said customer ID equals blah, blah, blah. So in that case, it will only pick up that one row, right? But we don't have a lot of records, right? We have 10 records in the table, so we can,
Okay.
Yeah, so we can do what we're doing right now. And, you know, luckily for us, it picked the one record that we wanted it to pick, actually, right? Which is the one that we inserted ourselves, right? Okay, so it's gone from source qualifier into the lookup, right? And what was the lookup condition? We said the source customer ID, right, will equal to the target customer ID, right? And if we look here, 651-606, 651-606, right?
Yes.
So those two, so the lookup condition matches, right? Customer ID equals the target customer ID, right? And then remember that once they match, it's gonna start returning all these columns that we wanted to return, right? That we pulled into what? Our expression, remember?
Yeah.
So all these LKPs, right? Those are all the return columns, right? You good so far?
Right.
Okay. If you look here, that's why it's saying these are all the things that I'm returning into your table. Right? Okay. So even here, I think I can already see a problem. Because if it picks up, okay, I think I know what we can do here. Okay, because if it picks up, see that it's picking up this John Doe, and this is the one that we changed into Jane, right? So obviously, when it goes into the expression, so when it goes into the expression here, it's gonna say first name is not equal to the target name, right? Because the first name that's coming from the source is Jane now. It's not John anymore, right? But it's still picking up John in the target, right?
Right.
Okay, so the original name from the source original name from the source was what? John. No. Right? Now to do our test for the insert, we went and changed this John
To Jane.
to Jane. Right? We reran our load. So it went in, and this John Doe, it invalidated this one, right? Because this was the original, and then this is the new one, right? So it goes in, puts an end date, right? And then puts a flag of no here, puts a flag of yes,